Let's conclude the chapter then by just recapping the benefits and co-benefits of mitigating short-lived climate pollutants, the super pollutants. So this is the conclusion of the chapter. Share of deaths from air pollution in 2017, which are attributable to total air pollution indoor and outdoor as a risk factor across different countries. Okay, so you can see that developing world has a very low percentage of air pollution related deaths, even though the morbidity or the sickness like chronic asthma, impacts of heat waves combined with ozone pollution and so on are quite significant even in a country like US, where the cost of asthma treatment per year is ordered 25 to 30 billion dollars, so it's not a small number. But you can see that the numbers of deaths, percentage of premature deaths attributable to air pollution go up. India is quite bad, and this part of China up here is quite bad, and overall the percentages are above 10 for large parts of the global south, which is not good news. So immediately the co-benefits of SLCP reduction are obvious, including mitigating the disparities of climate impacts across the world. The direct benefits, of course, SLCP climate benefits in terms of avoided global warming. We already saw this, but I'm just showing it again as a part of the conclusion. So contribution from black carbon and methane is half a degree, HFCs is 0.1 degree, so total SLCP can offset a warming by 2050 of 0.6 degrees centigrade. And coming back to our projection chart here, business as usual is going to put up here in the danger zone. Only CO2, black carbon plus methane only are going to bring it down a tiny bit, but still in the red zone. But full mitigation with CO2 and SLCPs is going to bring us below 2 degrees, which right now we are hoping is below the dangerous limits of human functioning and other species, as well as point of no return for many systems like Greenland ice sheets, Antarctic ice sheets, mountain glaciers, forests, and so on. Consequences of delayed mitigation, again, so delaying mitigation is going to bring us projected temperature response up here. So if methane mitigation is delayed until 2030 or black carbon mitigation until 2040, then you are again going to be above 2 degrees centigrade here, and full mitigation delayed is also going to raise it a little bit compared to here. Okay, slight difference. So delaying action is not an option. We also saw these benefits here. We will reduce public health negative impacts by reducing SLCPs. We will reduce the harmful impacts on food production. We'll reduce global warming, as we just saw again, increase ice and snow melting, the reduction in ice and snow melting rates by reducing SLCPs, especially black carbon, and disrupting weather patterns will be reduced as well. Okay, so good news and bad news again, right? The projected emissions of SLCPs is still not decreasing, especially HFCs with the high global warming potential, but the Kigali Amendment, building on top of the very successful Montreal Protocol, relatively speaking, again emphasizing that it is very successful relative to Kyoto Protocol, but it has still a long way to go, especially in terms of completely phasing out HCFCs, HFCs by 2030, for example, and reducing black carbon and methane and so on. And the differences in Kyoto Protocol and Montreal and should also be emphasized that ozone hole is harmful to every living being. There was not going to be any winners and losers. And the solution of switching from CFCs to HFCs was much more straightforward than what is needed for overall climate change mitigation, right? The options of energy, transportation, food, agricultural emissions, and so on, emissions from waste, deforestation, cement production, other land use changes like urbanization and so on, is a very vast task. There is no silver bullet. HFCs were almost like a silver bullet, even though they turned out to be high global warming potential greenhouse gas. So now reducing them and removing them completely can still be as easy as Montreal if a replacement comes along easily with a low global warming potential, right? So climate change, Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol remain very different than Montreal and Kigali. So we cannot directly compare them, but the message still is that reducing SLCPs was not given as much importance as it deserved because of the treatment of that as a health and pollution issue rather than a global warming issue. And it should also be emphasized again that reducing SLCPs immediately doesn't mean CO2 doesn't have to be reduced. We still need to decarbonize, but SLCPs give us low-hanging fruit with immediate impacts that can be used to motivate other greenhouse gas reductions. Okay, so let's hope it works that way, and we will phase out many of the HFCs and reduce other SLCPs on target with Kigali and other actions.